Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. My question to every single person out there: should the Las Vegas Raiders try to get the MVP, Lamar Jackson, to Las Vegas? Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the latest NFL news around Jackson because we got to face the facts here. The Baltimore Ravens have placed the non-exclusive franchise tag, and there is going to be a lot of teams vying for Jackson because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that he's going to be under center for Baltimore this upcoming season. Now, what we're going to talk about is everything that Raider fans need to know if you're somebody that actually wants this to end up going down. So first, let's hit the news here. This one's coming in from Kimberly A. Martin. Per league sources, the Ravens have placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, which means he's going to be making $32 million. I'm just going to tell you right now, Lamar Jackson is not going to be playing football this upcoming season for $32 million. Then one team that was really kind of linked to Lamar, I know a lot of people here at the Chat Sports Studios, and realistically a lot of people around the NFL thought that one team to keep an eye on was the Atlanta Falcons. Deanna Rossini, though, said that the Falcons aren't going to make that move. The reason why I thought that Atlanta could is because you're sitting there at 8. If this is true, to me, the Falcons are a team to absolutely keep an eye on trading up because I'm sorry, I don't really think that they're all that high on Desmond Ridder. But if you make a move for Jackson, you need to have some money. The Chicago Bears have the most money, but they've said that they plan on sticking with Justin Fields. Then you got Atlanta at number 2. Well, they just said that they were out. I told y'all on a video last week that a sleeper team was the New York Giants. They have still yet to franchise tag Daniel Jones, and, well, the time that I'm making this video, we'll see what ends up happening there. The Houston Texans, they got the number 2 pick. I think that they end up going with Bryce Young. Could the Raiders actually make this happen? And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, so I do want to ask the nation really quick. Should the Raiders make a move to get Lamar Jackson of the silver and black? Give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. There are a lot of different answers you can go with this one because anytime you're talking about a quarterback this great, but coming up after this YouTube ad break, I'm going to give you my opinion on whether or not the Raiders should make the move for Lamar Jackson. My take on it is this. If you are confident that you are going to get the quarterback that you want in the draft, whether that be a C.J. Stroud, whether that be an Anthony Richardson, whoever the heck it is, then my answer is no. But right now, the more and more reports that are starting to come out, it sounds like no matter what, the Raiders are going to have to trade up if they want their quarterback. I believe Bryce Young, gone in the top 3. C.J. Stroud, gone in the top 3. Anthony Richardson, to me, is a player that's not even going to be on the board at 7. And I don't really know if I want to go with Will Levis, who's 24 years old, because, well, if you wanted, you could go with Lamar Jackson, who's 26. He's literally younger, or just like the same age as Hendon Hooker, and I know a lot of y'all want to go out and get him. So if you did make the move for Jackson, and here's his numbers from the last 4 seasons, not counting 2022, the year that everyone would hope for is the 2019 year where he won the NFL MVP, 36 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, also had an insane amount of yards. He broke the single-season record for most rushing yards by a quarterback back in that time. And there are a lot of reports that are out there, but here's the thing. My job is to give you my 2 cents. And there is a new report out there right now from a Raiders beat writer that says, if you're wondering if the Raiders will be involved in Lamar Jackson, he didn't say no. He just said it's unlikely, which I agree. It probably is unlikely. Just like Aaron Rodgers coming to the Raiders at this point is probably unlikely. But if you do end up making the move, I know this. We're going to be going wild. So what I want you to do is subscribe, turn on those notifications, because this is the time of the year when breaking news happens. Like, that's just the God honest truth. I mean, think about it. The Devontae Adams stuff, that went down. Nobody thought it was going to happen. The NFL proves time and time again that just because somebody says it's unlikely, that doesn't mean that it's impossible. So with the Ravens placing the non-exclusive franchise tag on Jackson, there are a few things that everybody needs to know if the Raiders were to actually trade for him. First off, is if you were to actually trade for him, that means Lamar Jackson has to agree to play on the franchise tag. That to me is not going to happen. So, Mitch, how exactly do the Raiders get him? Well, then you got to wait until March 15th, the actual start of NFL free agency. So once that actually starts, March 15th, the Raiders then can offer Lamar Jackson a bigger contract if they wanted to. Then the Baltimore Ravens, they would have the opportunity to be like, all right, the Raiders offered you this much. I'm going to offer you this much. If the Baltimore Ravens or any other team did not match the Raiders' offer, they then would have Lamar Jackson, but then they would have to give up 2 first-round picks to Baltimore. So that would be your 2023 pick, which is the number 7 overall pick. And then you'd also give up the first-round pick in 2024. But if you're making a move for Lamar, you're not planning on having a very high draft pick. So the way that I would look at it is this, and this is how I want a lot of y'all to look at it. I am telling you straight up, if the Raiders want to get a quarterback like C.J. Stroud or like Anthony Richardson, who right now I would say are the top 2 most likely quarterbacks that the Raiders would try to get, you're going to have to trade up. And you're going to have to give up some draft capital. So what if I told you, all right, you're either going to have to trade up and give up this year's first and potentially next year's first as well to land one of these top NFL quarterbacks, or you pay Lamar Jackson a stupid amount of money because he is going to want to be, in my personal opinion, the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Remember, he's his own agent, and he's been negotiating, and there was reports out there that Baltimore apparently offered him a 5-year, $250 million deal, but only $133 million of that was guaranteed. He didn't like that. I do personally think that the whole Deshaun Watson contract really screwed it up for a lot of other people, a lot of other NFL teams, but I don't blame Lamar for saying, wait a minute, I'm better than Deshaun Watson. I got an MVP. If he's getting $230 million guaranteed, then if I'm Lamar, I want $250 million guaranteed. So that's where a lot of this discussion kind of gets going. I do know one thing, that if they were to make this deal, there is going to also be a lot of cash involved, which historically speaking, Mark Davis has not really done deals that involve a lot of cash. So for all the Raider fans out there wondering, could a deal end up getting done? I mean, it comes down to, yes, you're going to have to probably give up 2 first-round picks, but I think you're going to have to give up picks anyway to get a quarterback in the draft. And then you're also going to have to make him the highest-paid quarterback. I'm going to anticipate $250 million fully guaranteed. It's a big commitment. But if he can be back to the MVP, I do think it's worth it at age 26. All right, y'all, next topic up here of discussion is, remember yesterday when I said dominoes are going to start to fall? I already predicted once Tony Pollard got tagged, the Raiders are going to franchise tag Josh Jacobs. Well, now you see Derek Carr. He was the first domino. He heads on over to the New Orleans Saints, making $37.5 million. Today, the new news is that Aaron Rodgers is meeting with the New York Jets. The Jets are going to be flying out to visit with Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett, who was the OC for Rodgers back in Green Bay, he's now with the New York Jets. It's one of the reasons why I thought that destination made a lot of sense. If you're the Raiders, though, you're like, all right, I don't want to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what the future holds for him, which I get. So he could potentially go to New York. If the other New York team, the Giants, they say no to Daniel Jones, could they be in on Lamar? But then if the Giants commit to Daniel Jones, that kind of puts Lamar Jackson in this really awkward spot because a lot of the other teams that could look for a QB, they don't have the money like the Raiders do. So what do you think about this? What is the percent chance on Rodgers going to the New York Jets? Let me know down in the comments. You can go from 0 to 100%. I would say right now there's a better chance of Rodgers going to the Jets than playing for the Green Bay Packers. That's just my 2 cents because usually when flights happen, that actually means that there's legitimate interest. Look when Derek flew down to New Orleans. There was a legitimate interest in all of that. Now, if you haven't already, again, y'all, hit that subscribe button. Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live actually in a little bit here on the Raiders Report. So if any other stuff happens, keep an eye on the Daniel Jones updates, Saquon Barkley as well, some other stuff going on around the NFL. But the big story here and everything that I want you to talk about, and I'm sure we'll talk about it when we go live here in a little bit, Lamar Jackson, non-exclusive franchise tag. If the Raiders wanted to make him a Raider, they could do it. It's going to cost a lot of money, and yes, you're going to have to give up 2 first-round picks. Negotiation would also probably start after March 15th. All I know is this, man. A lot of fun and exciting stuff here at NFL Free Agency Time.